This is lesson 335 in Rome, from Republic to Empire. Rome was very proud of being a republic. And we are also very proud of being a republic here in the United States. But then somehow Rome morphed from being a republic to then being a fake republic, and then to being a dictatorship, and then to being an empire with an actual emperor. And our essential question is, could we in the United States go that same way? Are we going that way even now without realizing it? Maybe studying the history of Rome could give us a clue. Geographical factors that impacted Rome. Let's keep in mind that Rome was the center of the Mediterranean, and that was a great opportunity for both trade and expansion on the part of Rome. Rome had the protection of mountains to the north, the Alps, and the sea to the south. You better be a good sailor if you want to attack Rome by sea. It was also close to Greece, and Rome adopted many aspects of Greek culture. They were great admirers of the Greeks. But Rome also had fertile farmland, which gave it the ability to grow lots of food. The Roman Republic, what were its characteristics? Well, keep in mind that a republic by nature is opposed to the idea of monarchy. So a republic, in a sense, is often a form of democracy, but it's not a direct democracy like, for example, Athens. In a republic, people elect representatives to represent them in various assemblies. And these representatives serve, for example, in Rome, they serve in an assembly called the Senate. And senators tended to be wealthy landowners, in other words, patricians. Only males, military and nobles, could vote. And the common people, the plebeians, they could select tribunes who spoke for them in the Senate. They didn't vote in the Senate, but they could speak for them in the Senate. And all citizens who owned land were required to serve in the army. At the end of the Republic, what were the reasons that the Roman Republic wound up failing? Well, number one, you had tough economic times. The gap between the rich and the poor was growing. Slaves were about 1/3 of Rome's population. Rich landowners could afford slaves, which made their costs lower. But your plebeian farmers, your regular peasant farmer, he couldn't afford slaves, and that put him at a disadvantage compared to the rich landowner. And many of these poor farmers were former soldiers who had fought for Rome for years, and many of these farmers had to sell out to the rich and become poor city dwellers. Number two, Tiberius and Gaius and the political turmoil caused by their deaths. These were two brothers who stood up to the Senate. They were both tribunes, and they proposed reforms to help Rome's poor. The Senate had them killed, and this actually caused a civil war in Rome. There was military upheaval. The form of the army had begun to shift. In the beginning, soldiers had been loyal citizens, but now generals could recruit soldiers from all of these landless poor people by promising to give them land in return for military service. And these new types of recruits only felt loyal to their commanders. They didn't feel much loyalty to the Republic. And this made it possible for a military commander with an army of his own recruits to use force to take over the government. The first triumvirate. A triumvirate is when you have three people in charge together. And in 59 BC, Julius Caesar, a military commander, was elected consul with the help of his two friends, Crassus and Pompey. Together, these three men ran the Roman Republic for 10 years. After his 1 year as consul, because you're supposed to only get 1 year as consul, Julius Caesar appointed himself as governor of Gaul. That's modern-day France. And then he went off to conquer it. In Gaul, Caesar became very popular and very powerful. Then Crassus was killed in a battle against one of Rome's enemies called the Parthians. And that left just Pompey and Julius Caesar in charge. Pompey feared that Julius Caesar would try to take advantage of his popularity and seize control over the entire Roman Republic for himself. And so Pompey got the Senate to order Julius Caesar to give up the command of his army in Gaul and come home. Caesar refused to give up command of his army, and instead he marched his army all the way to Rome in Italy. And Caesar and Pompey fought a civil war against each other that lasted 2 years and took place in Spain, Greece, Egypt, and Italy. Caesar finally defeated Pompey in the year 47 BC. Caesar's ally, Cleopatra of Egypt, actually killed Pompey in Egypt for him. And the Egyptians presented Pompey's head to Caesar. Then Julius Caesar got the Senate to make him a temporary dictator, which they could legally do. A dictatorship is when one ruler has absolute authority over every aspect of life in his country. And in 44 BC, Julius Caesar got the Senate to make him dictator for life. And so Julius Caesar began 5 important reforms. Number 1, he expanded the Senate from 300 to 900 members. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, he appointed 600 of his supporters to the Senate so that they would always vote in favor of his policies. He extended greater Roman citizenship to people who lived in the Roman Republic's outer provinces. He created new jobs for the poor with the construction of new public buildings. He started new colonies where people could go and own their own land and have a fresh start. And he increased pay for Roman soldiers. But many senators became concerned with Julius Caesar's growing power. Many thought he was acting as a tyrant. Many feared that the Senate was losing power to him. And so they assassinated him in 44 BC. He was on his way to the forum, walking in. A bunch of assassins ambushed him and stabbed him to death right there. And that brings us to the second triumvirate. First one didn't work very well, so they figured they'll give it another try. And so a new civil war erupted again after Caesar's death. But 3 of Caesar's supporters managed to defeat the rebellion and hold on to power. And these 3 were Mark Antony, Lepidus, and Caesar's grandnephew Octavian. And together, these 3 formed the second triumvirate. However, they became jealous and suspicious of each other. Octavian forced Lepidus into retirement, and that left Mark Antony and Octavian to fight each other over control of the Roman Republic. And meanwhile, the Roman Republic was divided. Octavian dominated in the west, Antony dominated in the east. During the war, Mark Antony became allies with Egypt's queen, Cleopatra. Mark Antony and Egypt's queen fell in love and fought together against Octavian. Octavian defeated them, though, in the great sea battle called the Battle of Actium. And after being defeated, Antony and Cleopatra committed suicide together. Octavian took over Rome in 27 BC. He said that this was the restoration of the Republic. But in reality, Octavian was the first true emperor of Rome, and he was awarded the title of Augustus, which means the revered one. Octavian became not consul, that wasn't good enough, but emperor of Rome. And he took the name Caesar Augustus, and he had himself worshipped as a god. And from this point on, all Roman emperors were to be worshipped as gods. And the Roman Republic was no more. Rome was now an empire. The Pax Romana. After all these years of crisis and turmoil and chaos and upheaval, Rome finally enjoyed a period of relative peace. This period is known as the Pax Romana, and that's Latin for Roman peace. It lasted 200 years during and after the reign of Caesar Augustus. The empire actually prospered, and the population of the empire reached 50 million people. So what was Roman life like for a teenager? Click this link to find out. Thank you very much.